Welcome, Overflyers! On July 12, 2013, I introduced this little guy to the family. I named him Cynder after one of my favorite Skylander characters. We had a little pattern going on. He would sit on my shoulder as I played Minecraft, and afterwards I'd let him roam around my room wherever he wanted. It's like we were both new adventurers, ready to start our journey together.
I had always loved either having a cat or a dog in the house, but due to developing severe allergies for anything with fur or feathers, I settled with Cynder since it was the most cat-like behaving non-cat animal. It definitely wasn't because of those fake videos online of bearded dragons playing Call of Duty. As a young beardy, Cynder was super energetic and jumpy, just like me at the time. He would run around my room, climb over whatever he could find, or most importantly, sit on your head. He just loved it. I'd play a game and my little shoulder companion would turn into an abstract hat. After coming to the harsh realization that I couldn't train him to play Minecraft with me, we settled on Skylanders. He would always knock the characters off the portal, but I thought it was so funny. I think at one point I ended up leaving my Skylanders Cynder figure that I had in his cage so he could keep playing when we were done. We would always kind of create our own fun together, similar to what I do in a lot of games at that time. You see, Minecraft introduced me to the massive world of sandbox video games. This was something that I could finally be properly achieved on the 7th generation of consoles. It was a crazy idea at the time. Do whatever, go wherever, think whatever. The interactivity with the environment is what makes these games so special. So, at the time, I would take inspiration from these games and build little play habitats for Cynder. But even though games like Gmod gave the player complete control over the world, I enjoyed the simpler games like Minecraft. You need to remember too, Sandbox Games at the time looked like this, less of what we expect today. So because of this, we ended up seeing a lot of creativity when it came to using the hardware at the time. Terraria, for example, gave you what felt like an infinite amount of tools, but was able to fit in a completely 2D environment, making it a game that can run on basically any device. But the reason I mentioned Minecraft and Terraria specifically is because they were the first games to attempt a completely open world sandbox experience. So when it came to open world games, Skyrim was considered the highlight of the 7th generation. So to create a couple enemies here, I never liked Skyrim. I got maybe an hour or two into the game, but wasn't feeling the theme of medieval open world at the time. But it invoked curiosity in me, wondering if there were more games like Skyrim just with guns. So I quickly turned to games like Borderlands, Darksiders, Fallout, and quickly became invested in open world games. Well, that was until I ran out of games. You see, I'm one to play a game for maybe 20 hours at the absolute max, unless you're lucky. Games for me usually get stale quickly, but not far later, once I got my Switch, I was able to try Breath of the Wild. It was nice. I used to play Breath of the Wild in bed and still have room for the beardy to cuddle. The whole Switch experience sparked a whole new love in open world games for me. I could throw my Switch in a backpack and have access to all these massive worlds I grew up playing. And after a little bit of Bloodborne and GTA 5, my love for the genre was locked in. Games like Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim aren't that great in modern standards. I don't care what you think, that's what I think. Leave me alone, thank you. Their worlds are just flat, empty wastelands, which is great, that's the environmental goal, but it's boring. I don't care if it fits a theme, it's just boring. But in a way, the modern open world game pales in comparison to the last couple of years. In most open world games before this, the worlds were technically completely open, but 90% of the map is empty, so you really only travel to around 10% of the map. Breath of the Wild attacked this issue directly by making your first objective to win. This lets them fill the world with random ways to get new weapons, resources, and quests. Every playthrough of the game is unique, making a truly open world game that rewards your discoveries. But easily the most unique part of having a completely open world is the puzzle solving. Puzzle solving in a video game thus far has been moving from point A to point B. It's funny in something like Portal 2 with a friend, but it's not funny when one of the characters won't shut up about how difficult this puzzle was. But Breath of the Wild not only took advantage of the Switch's hardware in the Joy-Con and system, but also the physics engine. Every item in the puzzles are highlighted in bright colors, making it easy to determine what moves and what stays. It presented each puzzle in a simple to understand but complicated to solve puzzle. You could be stuck for hours or create your own solutions within its physics engine. Every shrine feels unique and creative and filled with love that you start to ask how much time needed to go into these shrines alone. Oh, and by the way, the puzzles technically aren't required to beat the game since Link just needed to kill Ganon, but there's still 120 of them to solve. Easter eggs, collectibles, upgrades, Breath of the Wild is just filled with so many things to do. Doom 2016, you run around blasting demons. Bam boop, oh, The iconic Doom Guy figure makes his entrance as the latest pop figure that cost my car's down payment. Lots of games have little things like this. Bone Lab introduced these little capsules that you rip open. Castle Crashers had this amazing pet system that made you want to collect them all, and Metroid games give you all these little rocket and energy tanks behind hidden puzzles. But if you notice anything between all these games, is that these collectibles benefit the player to some degree. Bone Lab gives you more items in Sandbox, Castle Crashers gives the player a special ability or funny little helper, and Metroid quite literally just gives you upgraded stats. Not all games do this. Saints and Sinners just gives you dolls and you can't recycle them. You're just stuck with them. I don't want half this stuff, get it out my home. But overall, most games reward you to some degree with their collectibles. Whether being a retro homage to another title, a fun part of the game that explains hidden story details or character development, or just straight up a stat upgrade, collectibles are always a warm welcome. It gives the player a reason to explore every part of your game, which is ultimately what most developers should strive to do. Every player is able to have a different experience thanks to collectibles, even if it's a completely linear game. New and old gamers will have different skill sets, history with games, and things they enjoy. Not everybody is going to want to 100% every game they play. I don't. To this day, I've only genuinely 100% just 2 or 3 games, and I'm not counting the freebie 100% games. But I feel like the couple I did 100% took me down a completely different game. Celeste, for example. There are hidden story details to Madeline's character that are locked behind one of the most difficult levels in gaming history. It's been years and I still can't do it. Or Nier Automata, which I most recently completed. I didn't 100% the game, but I did play past the credits and wow, it is a handful of content, but does it give you a mind-blowing amount of game for completion. Seriously, there's like 2 separate games with new overlapping stories and characters and motives and goals. I just feel bad for anyone who didn't play past 2B's story. I was almost one of those players because of the deceiving credits. But no, most people will have a different experience. It's difficult to keep it consistent, so a couple of them have leaned towards different story paths, making the game intended for replay value rather than a little extra side content. Most decisions in these games are meaningless, but some could mean life or death to the character. For some developers, it's a unique part of the story, but for others, it's the heart of the game. By others, I just mean Telltale, no one else. But what was interesting is that in a way, the parallels between the desire to 100% the game and taking care of my little guy are scarily similar. As a first-time Lizard owner for my entire family and extended family, there were definitely some things that I completely missed. For example, Cynder's gender. I was told he was a boy initially, then the vet said girl, and the third one said I don't know. We still don't know and we never will. And honestly, I could just care less. But it's a unique story that we were able to create together. I don't think anyone on Earth could say that they got a bearded dragon just so they could teach it to play Call of Duty, but ended up having one of the sweetest and funniest creatures you'll ever meet. With a desire to climb on the highest surface possible, jump anywhere reachable, and sleep as much as possible. Seriously, I sleep so much and he somehow outsleeps me. Just like the games I grew up playing, there is no linear path to playing any game, to exploring anything, or to take care of anything. It's always going to be a rocky path. I learned a lot about being a Lizard owner, and he loved exploring to his heart's content. Many people can say that they've had a bearded dragon, but none will be able to say that they had Cynder.
On June 29th, 2023, I came home to his final moments. I took him out of his cage, sat him right here on the couch next to me, and put him to sleep one last time. Looking back on our life together really opened up my eyes to how close we were. I know he's just a lizard, he can't feel the same way a dog, cat, or human can. But after looking back on our lives together, I'm able to see how conjoined our paths really were. So as I transition into adulthood, I'd like to take a page out of Cynder's book and jump into things with curiosity, climb the tallest peak that I can find, and stop to enjoy the dandelion flowers every time summer rolls around.